Hello everyone. Today I'm going to talk about the topic foreign exchange market. Foreign market is one of the largest financial markets in the world, which allows for the exchange of one currency for another. The major markets are London, New York, Tokyo. Major of the currencies is floating rate. A floating currency is where the exchange rate is determined by the force of supply and demand, not by central banks. Foreign value of a country currency is influenced by a number of factors, which are the relative interest rate, relative inflation rates, commodity price, and the relative economic growth rates. Today, I'm going to talk about the two currency pairs, which are the Australia dollars to Japanese yen and the Australia dollars to British pound, and the forecast of movement of the exchange rate for the next 3 to 6 months. For the Australia dollars to Japanese yen, this means that 1 Australia dollar buys you 89.1059 yen. The second figure shows that 1 Australia dollars equals to 0.59246 pound. Now I'm going to introduce the factors that affect foreign value of a country currency. First factor is relative interest rate. It's commonly viewed that increasing interest rates will have the following effects: encourages capital inflow, then increasing demand for the Australia dollars, discourages capital outflow, then decreasing supply of the Australia dollars. There are some relative countries, for example, the United States. The Reserve Bank of Australia left the cash rate unchanged at a record low of 1.5% at its April in 2018. Interest rates are set low in order to offset the effects of inflation and to keep in the 2 to 3% range. For Japanese yen, according to the Central Bank of Japan statement that is maintaining its short-term interest rate at minus 0.1%, negative interest rate works as an inverse to the stand. Increased supply in Japanese yen will cause a depreciation of the currency, as Japanese have no incentive to invest in the financial system. Another example is British pound. The Bank of England voted by 7-2 to keep the bank rate at 0.5% on March, the rate same as 29 to 2016, dropping from 0.25% where it had remained for past 1 year. The Bank of England set inflation target at 3%, and savers and investors will be affected by the drop in the interest rates, deterring further investment in the financial system. When a country's inflation rate is higher than the trending pattern, which means there will be less demand for exports and more demand and imports. The current inflation rate for Australia is 1.9%, Japan is 1.5%, and the UK is 3%. Back to the interest rate for Australia dollars to Japanese yen. Australia has a higher inflation rate compared to Japan. Therefore, there will be less demand for the Australia dollar, which means more supply, and there will be more demand for Japanese yen, which means less supply. For the forecast movement on Australia and Japan inflation rate from the two figures, we can see the Australia dollars and the Japanese yen both have an increased trend in the inflation rate, so the trend will have the possibility to increase in the future. The relative interest rate about Australia dollars to British pound, the United Kingdom has a higher inflation rate compared to Australia. Therefore, there will be less demand for British pound, which means more supply, and there will be more demand for Australia dollars, which means less supply. From two data, the Australian dollar has increased trend in the inflation rate. However, the United Kingdom has a hoop shape of inflation rates, so the trend will has the possibility to decrease in the future months.
Let's move to the next part, commodity price. A commodity price is initially anything that is bought or sold. In this section, we are talking about the commodities that Australia exports. Because of Australia is a large commodity exporter, the value of exports, especially mineral and agricultural products. Therefore, the level of demand for Australian dollar is significantly influenced by worldwide commodity price. If Australia has higher inflation rates, the exports are more expensive. Overseas importers of our goods will turn to other countries, and the value of exports will fall. Even the demand and value of Australian dollars. However, if increasing price of commodity, the exports become more expensive as well. Let's move to this slide. Australia is the worldwide largest exporter of iron ore. When the price of iron ore or commodities decrease, the exchange rate value of Australia will fall. At this moment, the price of iron ore is $34.62 per ton. Compared with last year, the price has down by 10.35%. The purpose of they will continue importing iron ore from Australia, and the total value of exports. Therefore, increasing demand of Australian dollar and the value of Australian dollar will go up. Australian dollar to Japanese yuan is not a major commodity pair as Japanese yuan. It's more heavily affected by the Japanese yen than Australian dollars. Therefore, as the iron ore price is predicted to decline, it eliminates the yield differences between currencies. As the iron ore price falls, the Australian dollar to United States pounds exchange rate also drops. Because of iron ore as the value of Australia's largest commodity export stumbles, demand for Australian dollar also buy them decline respectively. With the commodities under pressure, the British pound will benefit again against the Australian dollar. Assume Australian dollar has higher inflation than the rest of the world. The effects of this will be decrease in demand for exports as Australian price become less competitive on world markets. Therefore, this will be decrease in demand for Australian dollar and the curve of demand will shift left, D1 to D2. In addition, an increase in demand for imports as overseas goods become relatively cheaper on the domestic markets. Hence, it will increase in supply of the Australian dollar and the curve of supply shifts right, S1 to S2. The above two effects will result in a decrease in the value, ER1 to ER2. The theory of relative economic growth rate is stated that higher level of economic growth is caused by an increased demand for imports, and this will increase the supply of the currency. Explained in relative inflation rate that Australia has a higher inflation rate compared with Japan, which represents Australia is experiencing an increase in imports. It is indicated that the Australian dollar will increase in supply as curve shifts right, S1 to S2. Interest rates will be decreased. In relative inflation rates that the United States Kingdom has a higher inflation rate compared to Australia, which expresses the United Kingdom is experiencing an increase in imports. It is indicated that the British pound will increase in supply. Increased rates will be decreased. This is our reference. Thank you for listening.